So now I'm trying to change the way I cook because, my husband, he's used to me cooking that way. And every now and then he'll say, I miss your cooking. I'm like, but I don't want that stuff no more. So now I'm trying to change, how I do stuff, and I have to sneak stuff in with him sometimes. Because like one day he said, I haven't had no yellow rice in a long time. I wish you would cook some yellow rice. So I tricked him. I cooked some brown rice and I put some yellow coloring in it. And he didn't even know he was eating brown rice.
Welcome back to the Obesity Stories with Dr. Dan, the show where we shine a light on the real life battles, breakthroughs, and brilliance of people that are navigating obesity, a disease that is more than just eat less and move more. And today, I am thrilled to introduce Twaun, a true powerhouse of resiliency and determination. As a single mom and a teen pregnancy survivor, she juggled raising her daughters while working tirelessly to ensure they beat the odds. And guess what? They did. Fast forward to today, after decades of putting everyone else first, Twaun is finally prioritizing her own health. With the help of Wegovy, she has taken bold steps to lose nearly 100 pounds, and in the process has rediscovered her strength. From growing up with a bodybuilder dad, to embracing her mom's comforting cooking as a love language, and now she's rewriting her story. Twaun's journey has really been nothing short of inspiring. So grab a seat and let's dig into this incredible conversation. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications, and if you have a story to share on the Obesity Stories with Dr. Dan, be sure to check out the link down below where you can input your information and our team will reach out to get you on our show. So let's dive in. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I am joined today by Traces of Twaun. It is so great to have you on the show. And as I just learned, it's been probably a little bit full circle for you, where you started by watching some of my videos. That's really what kicked kind of your journey with some of these medications. But I mean, let's hear it from the horse's mouth. How are you? How's things going? And let's hear a little bit about your story.
Again, I am Twaun, Trace of Twaun's Life. I am doing great. I am so happy. Just yesterday, Wednesday, is my actual weigh-in and injection day, and I finally, for the very first time, was able to get on the scale and see the 200s in 17 years. So I am super, super, super duper happy. So I was so happy to hear and share that on my social media platforms as well as on YouTube.
Nice. That is awesome. Well, let's start right from the beginning. I mean, you're here now, but where did things start with your weight journey? When did it first become a problem for you?
Um, let's just say, just hearing it from my parents, I was that one child that was chubby from the beginning, from birth. I was always like thick, solid, but never like fat, obese, but I was always, one of those thick, solid, persons from a child. And I always, participated in like sports and different things like that. I was like one of the fastest, child in my classes, always running, winning the little ribbons doing field day and all that. But I was still, on the chubby side, but it never stopped me. I was very agile, as a child for me to be, on the thick side. But I would say um my senior year in high school, I gave birth to my first child. And that's when I noticed I gained a lot of weight. I actually had to be put on bed rest a few months prior to having her because I had got what they called is it gestational hypertension or whatever?
Gestational diabetes
No,
or
it wasn't diabetes. It was something with hypertension. It was something, I
oh,
forgot what they call it, but it was
was it
hypertension, and they thought I had diabetes, but I didn't. But they
okay.
was thinking that it would cause problems because I began to swell and things like that,
Mhm.
and they put me on bed rest where I had to like lay on my side for several hours throughout the day and things like that. But after I had my child, it went away. So they never diagnosed me with the diabetes or hypertension. Well, I gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant. I remember when I first went to the doctor and I found out I was pregnant, I was 160 some pounds. And after I had my daughter, I was 190 some pounds. So I picked up like 30 some pounds of weight during the pregnancy. And at that point, it was kind of like hard to get the weight off, so to speak. And then 2 years later, 2.5 years later, I had another child. So the weight was just kind of like there, you know. And then I lost a little bit. And then over the years, I just kind of gained a lot. And I think one of the reasons why I gained a lot of weight was because of the fact that, I was a single parent and I had a lot of responsibilities. A lot of my responsibilities was to take care of my two daughters, mainly by myself. And I always had this thing on the back of my shoulder that I am not going to be the next statistic. Because according to the American government, any person who has a child, when they're pregnant, a teenage pregnant student, they're, not supposed to graduate high school, which I did with more than enough credits. They're not never going to be a homeowner. They're never going to be married. They're not going to have an education. So I was trying, and their kids are going to be, their daughters are going to be following the same footstep, get pregnant while they're in school and be on welfare and all that stuff. And their sons are going to be gang bangers. This is what the American government has to say. And I had to hear those things, from a teen. So I made it my business to say, you know what, that's not going to be me. So when I became a young adult, I did a lot of things like work 3 jobs and just all kind of things instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to take the easy road and go get food stamps and welfare. Now I did it for a short period of time, but I was still able to receive those things, but I didn't want it. I didn't want the American government handouts. You see what I'm saying? So by me working so hard, working the 3 jobs at times, take care of my kids, making sure my kids were both honor roll students from elementary all the way through high school, making sure both of them graduated on time, more than enough credits, making sure they did things after, they finished school. My youngest daughter right now, she has a business. She does hair. She has a braided license. My oldest daughter, she graduated from Florida A&M University. She has her bachelor's in health information and informatics management. However, she's not doing that now because she is a full-time content creator. Yeah, so
Good for her. I can tell where you probably got it from then.
yeah, she actually started my YouTube journey. When she quit her American government job to be a full-time content creator, she said, "Mom, what I make in 2 weeks working for the VA, I can make it in 5 hours on YouTube." And I said, "Okay."
Wow. Does she want to consult on my channel too? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, so she makes really good money. So I mean, so I did everything I could do to try to beat those odds, but by me working all those jobs and doing everything, I wasn't eating right.
right.
I wasn't really cooking. I was eating a lot of fast foods and things like that. And you know, you're tired when you're off, so you're not working out, you're not being active, and so with all of that, that lifestyle, I began to just gain weight.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and a couple times throughout the years I would lose, but I was always so dedicated and had so much going on around me that where I just really couldn't focus like I needed to. I was always trying to make sure my kids was okay, and and different things where everybody else around me, and I wasn't really taking the time to look after Twaun and my health and my best interests.
Absolutely. Well, and I think you're a great example of when people say that, you're struggling with your weight, it must be because you're lazy and not working hard enough. But working 3 jobs, being a single mom, and I mean, having the discrimination and the stigma of being, the teen pregnancy and all the bad things that can come with that.
Hmm.
And yet you're here working your butt off and have gone, and your daughters have gone on to be very successful, and you have been on your journey. And now that I'm assuming, because your daughters are older and stuff like that, you have a bit more capacity to be like, okay, now it's kind of my turn to do my thing, right?
Yes, yes, it's my time.
Totally. And just, yeah, I mean, it's very admirable, and what you went through and how you pushed and perceived or persevered through that is absolutely amazing. So
Hmm.
tell me a little bit more about your childhood. You kind of shared some pictures with me of your dad, and he was a bodybuilder, and he was looking pretty lean and mean there in a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was your experience in that respect of things?
So that's all I ever remember my dad being a bodybuilder. From the beginning. I remember when I was a child, my dad used to love to box. He used to love to play adult lead softball. So he was always just, doing things. People in the neighborhood would come to our house and the younger guys, and my dad would give them the boxing gloves and teach them how to box. So he was always just into, things like that. And always seeing him lifting weights and stuff at the house. My father, he owned his own business, so he had his own lawn service business where he worked for. I grew up in Naples, Florida, while my parents was married. So down there, it's very like rich town, and so he worked for a lot of rich people, and he made a lot of good money. And so he also used to train at a Gold's Gym where he was like in part ownership with the guy. And he used to train like a lot of the collegiate sports, people like from like Miami, and stuff like that. And he was a bouncer at a nightclub. Like he would do that, I think like 2 Saturdays a month or something like that. So yeah, dad was always working. I guess that's where I get it from. It was in my blood.
Absolutely.
And my dad would always take us to the gym with him to like work out and stuff. And a lot of times when he work out at home, we would go out there, and try to do some of the same things that he was doing. And he would like race us while we were running forward. He'll be running backwards, things like that. And he still will beat us running backwards. So yeah, we had a lot of good times in seeing him like when it was time for him to get ready to go to a competition, just the way he would eat, he would always eat tuna and chicken, things like that, and eggs, all the time. And Crystal Light was his drink.
Mhm.
Sometime when my parents were, not paying attention and we wanted something sweet and we didn't have nothing sweet, we'll take dad Crystal Light, put it in our hand and lick it like it's candy. So I saw all the healthy things like skim milk. Like still to this day, skim milk has always been my milk. That's why my dad ever drunk.
Yeah.
I can't drink whole milk. If I do, it just it don't agree with me because that's all I've ever had was skim milk. And I love it.
Right.
People be like, "How do you drink that stuff?" I was like, "Well, my dad always drank it, so we always had it. That's what I
Yeah.
coming up in the house, we always had yogurts and healthy stuff. And I think what happened when my parents separated and we moved from Naples up to this little small town on the outside of Tampa, Florida.
Mhm.
We moved up this way. That's when things kind of changed because my
Okay.
mom wasn't the fitness person. She wasn't the active person. My mom was this soul food cooker that cooked all the time for so many different people, especially when the holidays came. She was always baking pies and cooking big pans of dressing, turkey dressing, chicken dressing, for people and stuff like that because she was a great cook because she comes from a good family that cooked,
Yeah.
and so being around that, everything just kind of changed. And I think that's when, you know,
Some of it, yeah.
some of it kind of just poured into me and I went to eating more of that type of stuff because we weren't eating all the healthy stuff because, dad wasn't in the house anymore.
Well, and if she's a good cook, I mean, the more of it we can get, the better here at this point, right? So,
Right, right, right. So now I'm trying to change the way I cook because, my husband, he's used to me cooking that way. And every now and then he'll say, I miss your cooking. I'm like, but I don't want that stuff no more. So now I'm trying to change, how I do stuff, and I have to sneak stuff in with him sometimes. Because like one day he said, I haven't had no yellow rice in a long time. I wish you would cook some yellow rice. So I tricked him. I cooked some brown rice and I put some yellow coloring in it. And he didn't even know he was eating brown rice.
doesn't even taste the difference, but it's all the illusion, really. Like that.
Exactly.
Okay, okay. I
Yeah.
like I like the strategy. You got to do what you got to do. I mean, if he
Hmm.
wants to take up the cooking, more than welcome to do it, kind of thing, right? But
Right, right.
that is so funny. Well, and
Yeah.
it sounds like nonetheless that you had, yes, the good role model behind it, and yeah, maybe there was that time when there was the separation, and yeah, your mom was a good cook, and that's certainly going to be, you learn when it's the holidays, when it's someone does well at school, it's like, oh, we're celebrating tonight, and we celebrate with
With
food. So you
food.
Absolutely. So you learned those patterns and behaviors, and I think on your dad's side, and certainly my experience in the bodybuilding world is that it tends to go to the complete opposite extreme, where it's very restrictive, and
Hmm.
eating that stuff every day, having done a bodybuilding competition, I can tell you is not a fun experience in any form or fashion. And when we get that good whole food, we want to eat as much as possible. So it's kind of an interesting dichotomy in trying to find that middle ground and balance for you. And then I'm sure if we mix it all in there and throw in genetics and stuff like that,
Hmm.
well, then we've got the big overall picture of things.
Right.
If you don't mind me asking, does anyone else in your family struggle with their weight at all?
Now, genetic wise, I would tell my mom's side of the family. So my mom comes from a large family. Her parents had 12 kids.
Oh,
And out of that 12, out of that 12, majority of them are on the thick, yeah, fat, heavy side, yes. Not on my
okay.
father's side, but my mom's side, yes. And even like her mother side of the family, there were a few of the ladies that were on the chubby side as well. Hmm. So it's
Okay.
definitely genetic. It's definitely genetic. Now with my siblings, my mom and my father, they had three kids together, but my
Mhm.
father has a child from his first marriage.
Okay.
Um, I was always the one that was chubby. Nobody else. It was just me. But just recently, like when I started Wegovy, my sister, um, she's with the three that my mom and my dad had. She was
Mhm.
on Wegovy. She was only like 214 pounds or something when she started, but she's so used to being a lot smaller, so she started it for a while because some of the nurses that work at the hospital that she worked at was on it, so she was like, "Oh, let me try it too." And she started losing weight until her insurance company no longer covered it.
Okay.
Yeah, so she had got down to like she was trying to get to 160 something, but I believe she got down to like 180.
Okay.
Yeah, but her weight isn't more genetic, and it's not really, according to her doctor, her weight was because of her alcohol usage. My sister 101, she liked to drink. So her doctor was teaching her, and actually, I did a live stream one day at her house recently where she was showing my YouTube followers how you can still drink your alcohol but slim it down because her doctor had to teach her how to still have a nice, time and drink your little mixed drinks, but use the stevia and different things like that. So she shared it, with my community to show them how you can still have a drink and not gain weight.
Totally.
Because
Absolutely.
that's what
Well,
she had to learn how to do.
oh, okay. Yeah, and I mean, when it comes to the alcohol, it certainly in the when it's not so much alcohol itself. Like, yes, if you're downing a bottle of vodka every weekend or something like that, that's a lot of calories, yes, but it often is, what are we mixing it together? What are the margarita, the fruit juices, and all those sorts of things that add up the calories. And we know that alcohol, well, there's no salad bars open at 2 in the morning when all the bars close, because nobody wants to eat a salad at that point, right? It's always been a challenge in that respect, but I mean, it's about finding that balance, and that's fantastic that she's kind of been able to strike it and even continue educating your followers and that sort. That's really awesome.
Yeah. And then like my brother, he's the baby of the bunch. He was always athletic in sports, played football, baseball. Um, he was in a Marine. Well, he still is a Marine. I forgot, once Marine, always Marine. Um, so just recently I noticed with him over the last year he started to gain a little bit, but he's back in the gym and he was giving me routines and telling me what machines to go to and all that when I was at the gym. So he's doing really good. Yeah, and I think I kind of motivated him to start working out. He hasn't said it, but I think I did. Because I'm motivating so many people in the family, men and women, they calling me and like, hey, I'm doing this, or I just went to the doctor and stuff like that. So
That is so funny. And It's always incredible when people start on a journey and how it will have that trickle effect. Like I often have the wives that come in, will do the consult, and they start getting on their way and losing weight, and suddenly their husband is in my schedule, and I'm like, oh, what can I help you with? Well, I want to lose weight, and I've seen my wife doing so well, and blah blah blah. And yeah, it has that downstream effect. It's kind of it's the hidden power that comes with when you start making changes. It's inspiring and motivating for other people, and I think it helps
Mm-hmm.
people to realize that change is possible. You just need to find the right tools and support to be able to do it, and you're setting an excellent example of that.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a little bit, we talked about the struggle, where the weight gain came from, and that sort of thing. When did you start medication, or what was kind of your trajectory and journey to getting on the medication and starting to lose weight?
So I started taking the medication of February, I believe the 22nd of last year, 2023. And what made me start was because I had did Weight Watchers a few years back, and I lost 55 pounds the first year, and I didn't really do the plan 100% wholeheartedly, and I still lost the 55 pounds. I worked out with a personal trainer for a few months, and things like that, and I ended up, after I stopped, I ended up gaining a little bit, then I lose, gained and lose, but I was never committed, wholeheartedly. And then I had got a promotion on my job, and I was a supervisor for a short period of time. And when I became a supervisor, I started gaining so much weight. And one particular day, I kept hearing my heart rate beating in my ear. And I knew what was going on. I said, that's my blood pressure. I need to go to the emergency room. And after like 2 or 3 days, I went to the ER, me and my husband, and they did my blood work and EKG and all that stuff. And they were so busy they couldn't even really put me in the bed. I was just sitting up in a chair, and I was reclined, and I went to sleep. And all I remember, the doctor came back in there, and he had a resident with him, a student, and they came in, and they was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." They was like, "Stand up." And I stood up, and they was like, "Hold your arms out. Do this, do this." And I looked at them like they was crazy. I was like, "What's going on? Am I okay?" They was like, "Are you feeling anything?" I was like, "No." They was like, "Well, nothing's wrong with you." They was like, "You just needed to rest. You went to sleep and your blood pressure dropped." And they was like, "You just stressed." I was like, "Really?" They was like, "Yeah." They was like, "You just went to sleep, and when you went to sleep, your vitals
Yeah.
changed." They was like, "You're tired. You're stressed." And I said, "You know what? I am. It's this position I'm in because at the time, I was just doing like too much. I was really doing the work of like three people, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a lot. And I was stressing. At that point, I was like, okay, some things got to change. I gotta cut back some things and figure out what I need to do. And so during this time, I was actually walking and doing intermittent fasting, and all this stuff, trying to help. So I just started thinking, what, I got to do something. I got too much going on. They say I'm stressed. I need to really just focus on me. And so I had a conversation with my job, and I had been mentoring for 10 years students here in Hillsborough County, because I live in Hillsborough County, Tampa, Florida. I had been mentoring for 10 straight years girls who are in school who are either pregnant or already have a child. And I was committed to doing that. I had so many hours I had to meet with them, and then once a month we would all get together, all the mentors with all the students, and we would do workshops and different things, and sometimes we'd do retreats where we'd go stay off like at a camp for like 3 or 4 days. Every year we just did a lot. I was doing that, and then I was involved really a lot in my church, doing a lot of stuff in my church, and I just had so much going on. I said, you know what? I got to drop all this stuff. I got to get rid of doing things in the church. I got to stop mentoring. I got to get some responsibilities off me on my job. I got to stop doing some things in my family. I just got to
Mhm.
focus on Twaun. If I don't, I'm not going to be here.
Right.
So that's when I made a commitment. Say, you know what? I'm dropping everything, and I'm going to focus on me.
Okay.
And I started increasing what I was doing with walking every morning. And then one day we had this meeting, and I got another promotion, and I had to go in to my, because I work from home, but I had to go into the local hospital that I work at. And when I went in, I saw this lady that I work with, and I looked at her and I was like, "You don't lost a lot of weight. What's going on here?"
Mm-hmm.
And she told me that she was on this injection called Manjaro, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But I'm like, I don't want no medicine. I don't want to
Yeah.
do that. But she just kept talking about it and talking about it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went home and it came up in my mind. And I started researching it and things like that. And that's when I went to YouTube, because I had already had a YouTube channel where I was actually doing home decor stuff.
Oh, nice.
I was already
Okay.
familiar with YouTube. And I started researching, and that's when I found you. Because I wanted to know about this drug. I want to know what everybody had to say about it, because, all physicians don't talk the same. You know that.
Right.
So I want
Totally.
to hear what everybody had to say. There were some that was against it, some that was for it, and some that, was telling you what you should do before you actually get started, all that kind of stuff. So I was listening, and I had a conversation with my husband and everything. So finally, a couple weeks later, I sent the lady a message. And I say, hey, I'm really skeptical about this medicine. I really don't like medication, but I want to give it a try. But can you let me know who your provider is? Because I would like to go to your provider, you know.
Yeah.
And I did. I made an appointment with her provider. And in that visit, I'm thinking I'm just going for a consultation. She's just going to talk to me, tell me all about it, everything. And she said to me, well, I can't give you Manjaro because you're not a diabetic. However, I could give you Wegovy. I'm like, okay, now what's that? So now I'm thinking I gotta go do some more research. What is Wegovy?
Yeah.
And she kind of like talked about it, and she pulled out a little pen that she had in her office and like a demo, and she was showing me how you do it and everything. And she was like, and here's your box.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like, here's my box. I'm like, where you get that from? And she was like, yeah, just take it home, and then you decide you want to start it, let me know. And I was like, okay. And so put this down because like my head is kind of like up. And she was like, just start it on the weekend. That way if you get sick, you get nauseated or whatever, you're home, you can just lay down. You don't have to be at work, and I was like, okay, I was nervous. And so when I got home, I just started recording a video, talking to everybody, let them know what was going on and everything. And I said, what, I'm going to do this right now. I'm not waiting until the weekend. Let me just go ahead and get it out the way. So I recorded myself giving myself the injection, and I started that Wednesday. I think it was the 22nd of February or 23rd of last year, 23. Yeah, and so it went very well for me. And I titrated up every month. She did not want me to wait. Like some people was waiting until like one dosage didn't work and then they went to the next. But she told me that, you're supposed to titrate every month as long as you're not having any side effects or any symptoms. And I was not having any side effects or any symptoms. So every month I titrated right on up. Now, it's funny because yes, I did. I did get the appetite suppression, and it's funny because I think my first week I lost like 6 pounds, and some people say, "Oh, well, that's probably water weight." I was like, "No," because I had already lost water weight because I was already exercising, and all that. So no, it was actually the medication, but I noticed it. I noticed it the first month. I actually noticed it the second month. So it's like every month I noticed it, but I did notice when I got to 2.4 after being on that for a couple of months. I noticed that, and still to this day, the first couple of days when I first hit the injection, that's when I really noticed it. But towards the end of the week, it slows down and I really don't notice it as much and I eat more.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So it's very much it's peaking in your system 1 to 3 days or so, and then it falls over the course of the week. And I always talk about it like there's this line or this threshold that when it crosses that threshold, then the cravings, the hunger, and all that stuff starts to come back. And it's almost like that line will decrease further on you the more weight that you lose, just because yeah, your body is trying to counteract what you're doing because it doesn't want you to do that, right? So I guess at this point, so you're on the 2.4. How, I mean, you're still losing and trending downwards, right?
Right. I was still losing, trending downward. Cravings never went away. Never. I
Okay.
always still crave. That part has never left me. I don't know why. It just never left me. But I found ways to prevent from overindulging. Let's just
Okay.
say that. I modified my diet a lot. I say the word diet, but I tell people I'm not on a diet, I'm on a lifestyle journey. But I
Totally.
modified. I start, making sweet things that wasn't so sweet, trying different things out like agave and different things like that. Just trying to make sure I'm not eating so much of the regular cane sugar, and things like that. I started doing a lot of the fat free things, candies and different things like that that kind of helped me with my cravings and things like that. As far as side effects and things like that, I didn't have any problems until I got to 2.4. The first injection I received on the 2.4, that next day I got nauseated. And I remember doing a video and I was talking about it, and two of my followers said, well, Twaun, you need to increase your protein the night before. And then the next day, don't do intermittent fasting. That's why you was nauseated. They say you need to eat right away because they knew I was doing intermittent fasting. And I say, oh, okay. So the next week, sure enough, I took their advice. I increased my protein that night before. The next day, after I got up and I went walking, because I was walking 4 miles a day, I went walking that morning before work. And as soon as I got my shower, I went right in there and I ate breakfast. I didn't wait, because I was usually eating breakfast around 10:30, 11:30. And I
Okay.
would stop eating at night around 6:30, 7:30.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm one of those ones I like to challenge myself and like to push myself and try things. So the next week I tried it. I said, okay, well, I'm not gonna eat right away at this time. Let me push it back another hour and see what happens. And sure enough, I felt that nausea coming on. I went ahead and started eating. I said, I'm not playing with this no more. So ever since then, when I finish exercising in the morning, because I'm a morning exercise person,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I finish exercising, I get my shower and I go straight to eat the day after my injection. And I never had that problem anymore. Constipation has been there. But I didn't notice the constipation until I kind of noticed it a little bit, but it really got bad when I got to 2.4. That's when it really got bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But I noticed that when I started juicing, I really didn't have no problem with the constipation.
Oh, okay. Just getting more fiber and liquid essentially, right? Okay. Okay. So that, I mean, that's very, very interesting because you're kind of one of the ones that didn't really get side until the very end. And it's curious that your cravings are still present. So I'm guessing, like, yes, you've made a lot of swaps, but has it been easier to manage those cravings? Like they're there, but they're not as overt and like I must indulge. It's more like, okay, I have some space. Like, do I really want to do this? Or maybe it's just, one cookie or whatever, and we can leave it at that and walk away kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'll do that and walk away. Like today, I had 3 Oreo cookies, pumpkin. I had never seen these before. I was with my grandkids Monday, and they wanted to go to this store, and I saw them. I was like, "Oh, pumpkin Oreos! I love anything pumpkin." So, so and this is how good I am now. I brought those on Monday, and I'm just opening them today, and I ate 3.
Okay.
So,
That is what we would call moderation for sure.
yeah, yeah. And so I told my husband, I said Sunday is gonna be my day that I eat something sweet while I indulge. And that's what I usually do. So for my whole journey, um Sundays I was not tracking or monitoring what I was eating at all. I said I'm just gonna let it be, because I'm African American and I was raised up off soul food, and Sunday is that day that we're gonna have our collard greens, cornbread, potato salad, all that stuff. So I said, you know what? If I be good Monday through Saturday, I'm gonna indulge on Sunday. and I'm not going to worry about it because this is a lifestyle for me. This is not a diet. So I don't want to have myself around here thinking I just got to eat rabbit food 6 days of a week, and then all of a sudden I overindulge. So I'm going to just, do what we do. And I started doing that. But when I started seeing a dietitian, she said, "No, I don't want you doing that." She was like, "I want you to track every day. Even if you go over your calorie count, just track it. Just track it and just see. You may be surprised. You're probably not even eating as much as you think you are." And I started doing that, and to my surprise, I wasn't eating as much as I thought I was. So I was like, oh, okay. So that means I had developed some type of lifestyle change because um yeah, I don't eat as much as I normally would have a year prior to taking the medication on Sundays as I do now on Sundays.
Well, the medication is certainly providing a little bit of that support and help. And
Mhm.
I mean, you've also sounds like you've made some really outstanding changes into your lifestyle where just even on a subconscious level, you're like, yeah, I'm still enjoying the foods that I love. It's Sunday, it's my day, and that sort. But you're also, you're getting enough, but you're not having to go to the point where you're like uncomfortable and it's painful and that sort of thing. It's like, no, I got it. I had my taste of it. I feel rewarded. I feel satisfied. And again, tomorrow's the next day, and I just get back on track with things.
Right, right.
Oh, that is so, so cool to hear. Take me through a little bit, I guess, in terms of being on the medication. How has the support been with like family, friends? Some people experience a lot of, oh, you shouldn't be on that, and this, that, and the other thing. Has it been pretty positive for you overall, or has there been any kind of pushback from anybody at all?
As far as family, yeah, it's been very supportive. I haven't had anybody to say anything negative about it. But just recently, I had a conversation with my daughters because my doctor had been wanting me to switch from Wegovy to Zepbound when she noticed that the Wegovy wasn't really, helping me as much. And I didn't want to switch. And but then at some point she kept on and kept on. I realized, well, it's really not really working that well. So maybe she's right. Maybe I do need to switch. My daughter was like, "No, mom, you need to just stay on that because I don't like all that medicine stuff. You're doing so well. You changed so much. I think you'll probably be fine even if you stop. And my dietitian said the same thing. But I was like, no, I ain't ready to just stop right now, you know. But I haven't had any negative, feedback from my family. They all support. A lot of them, they subscribe to my channel. They watch. They always, give me good comments when I post stuff on social media. Matter of fact, my brother was just telling me when he went to his annual visit, he was sharing with the lady in the doctor's office about my journey and everything. Because the lady was telling him that she was on medicine, for weight loss. He was like, "Yeah, my sister is on, something too," but he can't remember what it was. And he was telling her, some of the things that I'm doing and stuff like that. I was like, "Oh, so you should have gave her my YouTube channel. Let her come follow me." Yeah, so it's like, I get a lot. Family members that live in different states, they'll call me, and say, "Hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that," or I'm watching what I eat too, and things like that. So I'm really shocked that I'm getting a lot of that, from
Yeah,
especially male, a lot of males. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I encourage and motivated them.
Awesome. No, that is so fantastic that you've had a positive response to it. And I think it is getting better over the last year, I think. Like there's still a ways to go, but I'm finding it's becoming more and more accepted that this is something, and as more people get on it, it's more people seeing the benefits and so on and so forth. But to have that positive response right out the gate is so important to kind of, I mean, especially the people that are closest to you. Like if you don't have that foundation there, it's going to make your journey like that much more challenging, right?
Right, right. I'm gonna be honest with you. This journey was challenging for me in the beginning because my husband, he probably 168 pounds at night.
Right.
Okay. And the type of he works in parking recreation, landscaping, all that kind of stuff. So he's outside maybe like 50% of the time when he's not in his office. So he's active.
Yeah.
So when he come home, he don't need to exercise and all that stuff like I do. At least he don't think he do. Because he don't need to gain, he don't need to lose weight. He don't really gain. He may gain a few pounds, but nothing to it. And so I find myself a lot of time have to cook, two different meals, sometimes,
Oh,
And it's a lot of stuff that I've been trying, like asparagus. I just ate asparagus for the first time a couple of months ago.
okay.
And because I'm trying different things. And when my husband tried it, he said, "Don't ever cook this for me no more." Brussels sprouts. When I saw this recipe on YouTube, Brussels sprouts with balsamic vinaigrette and olive oil, put it in the air fryer. I thought it was so good. That's my first time eating Brussels sprouts. He told me the same thing. Don't cook this for me no more. I said, but you eat cabbage. You love cabbage. Brussels sprouts is baby cabbage. He was like, no, that can't be baby cabbage. I was like, well, I'm telling you, it's baby cabbage. He said, well, it don't taste the same. So it's like I have to go through that. And it's so fun because my daily step goal was 12,000 steps. And something was going on one day, and I had not hit that 12,000, and I wanted to make sure I got my 12,000 by a certain time. I make sure I get my 12,000 by 7:30 at night, because at seven
Right.
thirty at night, that means I'm not eating nothing else. I'm not doing anything. And he was sitting down watching TV, and he had some cookies that was on the counter in the kitchen, and I was walking up and down the hall, and he said to me, "Hey, when you pass by that kitchen, bring me some of them cookies."
Right.
I said, "The devil is a liar. I am not bringing you no cookies. I'm here trying to get steps. So you want me to bring you some cookies?" You know. And it's so funny because, like we'll eat dinner and everything, and we'll sit down and watch TV. The next thing you know, he come plopping right down next to me with a big old bowl of ice cream and cookies, and I just look over there and I just say, you know what, this right here, mm-mm. But it's to the point now where I'm just like, okay, whatever. It don't even bother me. Do what you want to do. I'm, but in the beginning, it was kind of tempting. I'm like, now why is he doing that? He know I'm trying to lose weight. Why are you gonna go come sit next to me? And I used to have these conversations with him. Like, why are you doing that? Why? He's like, just say no. So he was that, he was always supporting me and encouraging me, but he would do that type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It just the little things that he secretly knows that it's going to get under your skin, and that's why he does it, really, right? So,
Yeah. So yeah, I what I had to do, I had to start reorganizing things in our freezer. I put all his ice creams and stuff on one side. And I put because I like to freeze my yogurts, those Oikos yogurts. I
oh,
like to freeze them,
okay.
and then I take them out and let them sit on the counter for maybe 30 minutes or so before I blend them to make my smoothies and stuff like that.
Oh,
So I keep all my stuff on one side and let all his stuff be on the other side. That way I don't have to even look over there. And then in our pantry, I brought these containers where I keep a lot of my like protein bars and just different things in there for me. So I don't even have to look at his cookie jar,
okay.
stuff like that. But now I find it where sometimes he eating my stuff. So yeah, and he's drinking my things now because I like to drink. Dr Pepper has always been my soda of choice, and so now I'm drinking I had not drunk a soda in years, and then I started drinking Dr Pepper cream sodas, the zero ones. They're really good, and they have a strawberry and cream in their zero. So I've been drinking those every now and then too, and I do the Crystal Lights and stuff like that. And so my sister was telling me about those Ollipops and the Poppies. So I've been trying those lately. And he's drinking those too. And he has Sprites in the refrigerator, but he's not drinking his Sprites. He's drinking my stuff.
Oh, jeez.
So,
Okay. So, how the tables have turned, like,
yeah. So he likes some of the
fair
stuff.
enough. Well, and I kind of want to just go back to when you were talking about when you first started this journey, you were experiencing all the stress and you had to like back off of some things that I would assume are very, very important to you and things that you really enjoy doing.
hmm
How was that? And have you been able to get back to doing more things, or what was the hardest part with all that?
Um, no, I'm not. I'm not trying to. I'm just focused on Twaun right now. I'm not trying to get involved in doing other things. But ironically, Um, I had a moment one morning after exercising, and it was a spiritual thing, and I was like, talking to God and everything, and He was just letting me know that this is ministry. What you're doing, just because you think you're not doing stuff in the church, you're still doing ministry. You're able to reach more people on YouTube than you are in the four walls of your church.
That's fair.
So
Yeah.
by you being transparent, sharing your life and your journey with these people, you helping these people who are struggling. They need to see someone like you. They need to actually see someone who's going to show them the good, the bad. And that's what I do. I'm not one of those content creators that I'm only going to show up when I'm losing weight. When I'm gaining, I'm telling them, I gained this week and this what's happening and, what's going on. Cause like, the end of mid 23, slap in the middle of me starting my journey, my husband and I had to go get his mom from another state and bring her here to stay with us because her dementia had really kicked in really, really bad. And she was here with us 6 months before she transitioned. And so she was here in our home when she passed away. And so seeing her transition and us taking care of her, it was a lot of stress on the both of us, my husband and I. At night, a lot of times we couldn't sleep at night. We would give her melatonin and different things like that. The hospice people had came in, they were giving her medication to try to help her sleep. That wasn't working. We'll be in the bed 2 o'clock in the morning and she climbing out the bed. And it was just a lot. So we weren't getting a lot of sleep. It was a lot going on. And during that time, I had stopped really cooking and started by eating out. So I
Hmm.
kind of started gaining a little bit. Um, and when I realized what was going on, I was like, wait a minute, you gotta get a hold of yourself. You can't go back.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta refocus here. And I did, and I caught myself and I refocused when I went to my doctor and I told her what was going on. Because she was like, oh, you only lost 5 pounds in 2 months. I said, well, really, I lost more than that, but I had gained and had to re-lose it back.
Yeah.
I told her what was going on, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, I commend you." She said, "Because a lot of people on weight loss journey would have just thrown the towel in if they had to go through what you just went through."
Yeah. Definitely.
Caught themselves and she was like, "Yeah." And within that 2 months period, she didn't really know what was going on. She just thought the medicine just wasn't just working with me no more. It wasn't the medicine; it was just all the stress that I was going through.
Totally. Well, yeah, and that's our default. When we're stressed out, we're going to fall back on our old patterns and behaviors. And you learn that very early on, and kind of when you're working the three jobs and you're doing what you could, and when you're tired and exhausted, you're going to get those same environment coming up. So yeah, being able to stop and be like, no, no, this is not lining with where I want to go, and being able to kind of correct course, even still a bit in the middle of it and dealing with it, is super important. And yeah, I'm very commendable, and like congratulations to you for making that and continuing to move forward. So I guess where are you at in terms of your weight now?
So when I first started, I was 394.4, 394 pounds, point four. So as of yesterday, 298.6. So I'm down 95.8 pounds. But what I didn't share with you was that 2 weeks I stopped Wegovy and I took Saxenda. Wasn't working. So I went back, asked my doctor to put me back on the Wegovy. Because what happened was she was trying to put me on Zepbound. But my insurance company approved, they authorized the Zepbound, but it was just too much and I didn't want to pay that type of money. So they were saying in order for me to get a tier two exception where they'll lower my copay, I had to try one of these other medications. And Saxenda was one of the ones. And so I did for 2 weeks. And when my doctor submitted the paperwork back to them saying, hey, the Saxenda isn't working, it was like, oh, well, that medicine isn't on that list anymore. So here's another list of drugs that we just changed. So I was like, I'm not playing these games with these insurance companies. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to enroll in another company as soon as open enrollment comes. That's what my mind was saying. So she said, well, let's just go ahead and and just wait until that time comes. But then one of my YouTube followers told me about Contrave. So I asked her about the Contrave, and she said, well, what we'll do, we'll start you on phentermine instead of the Contrave. But she said start with a half a tablet. So we went back to Wegovy, and I do a half a tablet of phentermine. But because I really don't like to take medication, I don't do the phentermine every day. She has me on the 37.5 milligrams, but I do half a tablet. I don't do it every day. So I do my injection on Wednesday. Wednesday, I take it, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I don't need the phentermine. But and sometimes Sunday I don't take it, but Monday and Tuesday I'm taking it.
Okay.
I'm taking it Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday because that's the first day of me getting an injection. Because I noticed that towards the end of the week, that's when I kind of crave more, or I may eat my whole 1,500 calories or more on Mondays and Tuesdays. So I'm like, I need the phentermine on those 2 days. So I do the half a tablet. So it's like at least 3 days a week, I'm doing a half a tablet of phentermine, which is Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday. Usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I don't take the phentermine.
Okay, so really just yeah, you're using it as needed to kind of work
Hmm.
with what you're getting
Hmm.
and yeah, because your insurance company is pulling the ridiculous strings of you'd go through the hoops and all of a sudden there'd be another new set of hoops that they would have for you and
Hmm.
yeah, it's a very unfortunate process in that respect. So I'm very glad that you've kind of found what works for you and has helped you to kind of manage and keep progressing forward. Now, there's one other thing that I kind of wanted to touch base with you because you had said in my little form there that you had a real passion for the skin tightening or wanted to talk about the skin tightening piece, and I need to know a little bit more about what this all is.
Okay, so um, I noticed like when I'm riding I have a Peloton. So when I ride my Peloton bike lately, I noticed that my thighs, I can see my skin is like flopping as I'm paddling. And then with my arms, make sure you can see it good because my camera. Can you see it good? Okay.
Oh
Like
yeah,
here.
yeah,
You see
yeah,
how this doing? So I know that I'm gonna have a lot of loose skin because like now I can pinch and in a little while I'm gonna be able to feel my fingertips through my skin. And
yeah.
my arms were really, really huge. And like now I can see myself folding my arm. I mean that looks look how that looks. So I'm like, I'm gonna have some loose skin going on here. So I'm gonna have to do something with these Batman wings. So in my thigh area. So I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I've been looking at a lot of videos and stuff. And one of my coworkers, she had weight loss surgery February of 23. When I was starting Wegovy, she was having weight loss surgery. And she's
Mhm.
lost 160 pounds so far, but she just recently, 3 weeks ago, had skin removal surgery. She had what you call a penectomy or
Oh,
something.
panelectomy or something. Yeah.
Penectomy. She had that. And so they removed all the skin from her stomach. Her insurance come and pay for that, but they deny her arms. And she and I had a conversation, and I was telling her from watching some of the doctors on YouTube, they've been talking about this thing called is it autography or something,
I haven't
where
heard.
your body eats itself when you fasting, and at some point
Oh.
it eats your skin too, or something like that, and it helps your skin to tighten back. So I want to ask you your opinion on that because one of the doctors, he was heavy set. I'm not gonna call his name, and he lost weight. And he was saying, and he is a plastic surgeon, and he was saying that he tell all his patients to wait at least 2 years after you lost all the weight that you want to lose
Mhm.
before you go have skin surgery removal. He said people make a mistake and they have skin surgery removal too fast.
Mm.
It's like you don't give your skin time to try to, I guess, heal itself or something like that. And he was saying that it will retract, but not as much as we want it to. But he was saying that during that time, you need to be trying to build muscle
Mhm.
because it's easier for the plastic surgeon to do your tummy tuck or move your skin or whatever when you got muscle for them to build around.
Mhm. Totally.
So I was like, okay, that makes sense, because he said that, we can tighten your skin on your stomach, but if you don't have any muscle where you build your core, it's not gonna look right. People
Mhm.
wonder why they look the way they look after they have skin removal surgery. He was like, well, you don't have any muscle there. So he was saying, the best thing you can do is start building muscle in the areas. where you want to get skin removal. So I said, well, I was doing arm um, activities twice a week. I said, well, maybe I need to do 3 days a week now so I can build more muscle. Because I know I'm going to have something done here sooner or later.
Totally. No. So I would certainly agree with all the above in that, yeah, one of the best things you can do is start building that foundation, that muscle, because it's going to also fill you out. And so it'll help with kind of your skin taking a different shape, and kind of your skin is really like kind of like an elastic band. And if we stretch it, and depending on how old we are, how much elastin, all that stuff, it might come back pretty good, especially if you're quite young after you lose a bunch of weight. But for as we get older and stuff like that, it won't come back as much as we'd like. So there still will be some loose skin there. I would say the 2 year waiting time would be more for just making sure that you're maintaining your weight, you're building the muscle versus like allowing your skin to fully retract, because in reality, your skin's going to just retract to whatever point it's going to retract to. And once it kind of gets there, it's not going to really get too much more. It also depends, how long was the skin stretched out and all those sorts of things too. So those will all be different factors. But yeah, I think all those things are fantastic and great ideas to kind of build on. And if you're finding that you lose a bunch of weight, but then you're on the Peloton or whatever like that, and like the skin is getting in your way or it's affecting your ability to be on the bike, then you might want to look at getting the skin removal sooner than later. And generally, what can occur is that there could even be like a stepwise process where they remove some skin now. Okay, I'm going to continue on my journey. I lose more weight. They'll remove more skin after you've done that. So there's a lot of different steps and procedures and whatnot like that. It's just finding the right surgeon that's going to work for you. And yeah, building that muscle, because that'll make a huge, huge difference. And it's going to help you to maintain the weight loss. And yeah, it changes the body composition and just how you look. So the skin and everything like that just hangs differently on you. So I think you've got the right track. You definitely got the research skills and know how to dig into it all. So, I mean, it sounds like you have a good plan and good strategy in place. And yeah, I mean, tell me a little bit more. What is the future for you? What do you got planned? What are we going to keep working on?
Well, I am just going to continue to do what I'm doing to keep setting small goals for me. Because like everybody keep asking me, what is your end goal? Where you want to be? And I keep telling them I'm not thinking about the end goal. I'm really not focusing on that. My first goal was to get out of the 300s. That was my
Right.
first goal. I've done that. So my next goal, I say maybe get to 250. And then after 250, let me see 199. And then I'll think about, because I haven't really thought about, past that, where I would like to see myself. My doctor did tell me that I'll never get 165 pounds again. She said because you have way too much muscle in your body.
Hmm.
Because she does those body scans
Yeah.
every visit, and she showed me how I'm like way at the end of the I guess the scale versus where people should be. That's why she told me that when I lost a little bit of muscle on my first couple of visits, she said, "Oh, you can lose some muscle."
Yeah.
She's like, "No problem." She said, this is a issue with the medication, but you have so much muscle that it's not gonna bother you to lose a little bit of muscle." So I was like,
Totally.
"Okay,
No, that's exactly it. And I mean, if you think about it, you've lost almost 100 pounds. So it's like you were carrying a 100-pound backpack on your back, right? Like you
right,
can't
right,
just do that without muscle building and maintaining that. So yeah, you're going
right,
to have a
right."
good base.
Mm-hmm. Because, like, in the beginning of my journey, I had started going to this boot camp, and I injured myself at the boot camp, and I went to the sports medicine doctor, and he was asking what happened. He was like, "How are you?" He was like, "You're older than I am, and I can't even do a boot camp." He was like, "You need to quit that boot camp." He was like, "It's too fast paced. You need something slow where you can plant yourself, and move properly, and things like that." And so he was just so impressed because he was like, for you to be and at this point I had only lost like 50 some pounds. He was like, for you to be as heavy as you are and you're walking 6 days a week, 4 miles every morning, he said, that's too much. He was like, I'm surprised. He was like, I'm surprised. exercise, But he told me to stop walking that much, and that's why my knee. It wasn't really so much of the boot camp. It was arthritis built in my right knee because that's my dominant side of my body. And he was saying that I'm putting more pressure on my right knee as I'm walking. He was like, "That's just too much for you to be outside walking on the pavement 4 miles." He said, "Don't do no more than 2 miles. No more than 2 miles." So now I kind of do 3 miles because my when he sent me to physical therapy, they said I could do like three, and that's it. But I don't do it every day. I try to do the Peloton 3 to 4 days a week, and then I may walk 2 days a week. The 3 miles in the morning before work.
Awesome. Okay, so you're finding a nice balance that ultimately works, but still getting movement, just getting less pressure on those joints and that
Mhm.
sort of thing with the bike, right?
Right, right.
Amazing. Well, anything else that you wanted to talk about today or to share with people on their journey as they work towards losing weight?
Well, I would just say to anybody who's out there, if you're thinking whether or not the GLP-1 is right for you, you will never know by seeking advice from someone else. It's best to just try it and just see what happens because everybody's body is different. And I would say that if you're going to actually start, make sure you work on what you're intaking every day, what you're eating versus just trying to get out there and just exercising all the time. Just make sure you're working on that first before you start the exercise part of it. And I'm just going to say this because I watch tons of videos on YouTube and I see tons of people on TikTok and Instagram who are on GLP-1 medications. And I ask them, well, how many calories are you eating today? How much protein are you eating? How much fiber? How much fat? Nobody knows. They,
Totally.
they just eat until they're full. Okay, so what's going to happen when you stop the medicine? You're going to keep eating until you're full? And then you're gonna gain
Totally.
your weight back. So I noticed that when I start having these conversations with people, I start seeing them doing videos now like, oh, now I'm taking a log of what I'm eating because I think they start to realize that we just can't do that. You can't just rely on the medicine. You have to have a conscious to be aware of what you're doing, you know. So I want to share it. If you're out there, get with your physician, see what they suggest, how many calories they say you should eat per day, the protein count, fat, carbs, all that, instead of just trying to eat until you full. Because you can eat
Awesome.
a small amount of something, and that small amount of something can have way more calories and fat than, a huge salad or something, I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. I can easily crush an extra large pizza by myself, no problem, but it's going to have a lot more calories well beyond my daily limits in one
Mm-hmm.
sitting, and it
Mm-hmm.
does not take much at all, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is absolutely fantastic, Tawan. Let's bring this one into land here. Where can people find you? Where can they catch up and continue on with your journey?
Well, you can follow me on YouTube at Traces of Twaun's Life. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Trace of Twaun's Life.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story. You are
Thank
very, very
you.
inspirational and inspiring in so many ways. And congratulations on all the success so
Thank
far. And I'm
you.
I'm looking forward to continuing following you. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. You just made my day.
Awesome. Love it. All right, everybody. That is it for today. If you want to share your story with us here on the Obesity Stories with Dr. Dan, go to the description down below, hit the link, and fill out my form, and our team will reach out to you. So thank you very much, Twaun, and everybody else for tuning in.